Greetings, dear listeners. You have returned to the Paid in Full podcast. JP and Mia are in our usual spots in our home where we are bringing you some love and joy here on a lovely Friday afternoon. Today we're going to be getting more into a little bit about ourselves and a little bit more about what makes us tick, in the hopes that we can be of some type of motivation, some type of inspiration for listeners who are seeking some long-lasting good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. You clearly said that it was Friday. It's Saturday in some places, so shout out to other people over there in Japan and China. Happy Saturday to you.
That is very perceptive. It is. It's the middle of the night over there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, JP.
You're welcome.
So let me see. Anything we need to kind of update the people on before we get into our topic here? What are we thinking? What we got going on?
Nothing much. Just going through a career change, and I'm excited. I'm excited about that. So we'll talk about that at a later date. But I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor starting to pay off a little bit, so which means a little bit more free time, Johnny time, and hopefully more family time, which is the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. And the wife is ecstatic that the husband is here with her. So not to say that he wasn't before, but we get to have a very fresh, clear-minded dad and husband. So I'm a little bit spoiled now, so he can't go anywhere. We want to also take this moment to thank all of our entries for our very first giveaway that we did this week. We did select 2 listeners for some $10 Visa gift cards. I am really hoping and praying that our listeners received those. They were sent out. Visa said that they sent it. Hey, Visa. Hey.
Congratulations
to
you.
I'm hoping that they bought something real cute.
Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. Will I get sued for using a birthday song? Is that even a birthday? Go.
So let's talk about, let's do today's topic. So for our first time listeners, welcome. We are Mia and JP again. We format our podcast to be a question that we ask one another, and we do a his and her perspective on the question. So let's kind of get into this here for episode 3. Our discussion question today is
before you get started, you said the Paid in Full podcast?
Yes, love.
Okay, paid in full. It's paid in full. Paid in full.
Yes.
Okay. No copyright. Oh, shoot, go.
So, see, y'all, it's Friday. So, our discussion question, listeners, is how do 2 people stay in love for a long time? And I'm going to kind of say that again and let it marinate a little bit, because some things like this hit people a little differently, and it has a little bit more impact if you say it again. So, how do 2 people stay in love for a long time? Okay, so we're going to get into this just a little bit. JP's going to do a sort of male perspective and his personal experience with being in love for a long time. And then I will talk about my personal experience as well. And then we'll sort of make some finalized, I guess we'll think about maybe some advice giving for those who are seeking some long-lasting love. So, do you want me to start off, or do you want to go?
Absolutely, you start.
Okay. So, how do 2 people stay in love for a long time? So, of course, if you've listened to our first episode, you know that JP and I met 16 years ago, in the dead of winter, Atlanta winter, and have taken a lot of time getting to a point where we are very comfortable with one another, probably more than ever, that we're best friends in the sense of we are raising our family, we're making deliberate decisions, we're doing what we need to do for one another. And so it takes some time to get there, what's sad about our society now, and its society as a whole, is that people, as a humankind, human race, often want the end outcome before putting in all the work. And that's with anything, right? We want the money before we get the education. We want the accolades before we actually write the book or make the album, right? So what I often find is that people ask me, how do you make it work, right? And so it comes from a place, of course, of people wanting to have what they see us have without realizing how much actual physical labor is put in. Okay, so I want to just preempt that, because this is not easy. Having to be with the same person time over a long period of time, it's not easy, but it can be done. So my point of view with how two people can stay in love is by making a very deliberate choice or deliberate decision to try to speak your person's love language as much as possible every day. And this goes into a whole nother conversation about what exactly a love language is. Gary Chapman, you guys have to look him up. He has created a whole society based on how your person loves, because we love differently, right? Some people are more physically in contact with another person, and that's how they express love and that's how they receive it. Some people are more quality time oriented. Some people will just talk, but for them, that's their love language. So we love differently by putting it out, and we receive love differently. So JP and I, over time, have figured out how we tick. And it's probably at this point, I guess if you cut us open and split us down the middle, it's probably at a spiritual level at this point, because I can pinpoint what he would say about something before he says it. And so for us, of course, we had to learn that love is a choice. Love is a decision. Love ebbs and flows naturally. Okay, it's not something that you just feel every day and it's sparkly and it's fireworks. It's something that can dip down, and it's something that peaks up and then dips down again. So to love someone for a long time has to be a decision that the two people have made to do so. Because if one person is loving someone more than the other, then you have a lopsided relationship, and you won't have that long-term effect that you're looking for. So for us, I can't even give you probably a date, a time, a moment that I knew that we were going to quote unquote make it per se. It's initially at the beginning, in all honesty, guys, we were together. We kind of just watched time go by. Like, we didn't intentionally say, hey, we are never going to break up. We're going to get married. We're going to have kids. Now, JP might tell you a little story about how he may have known before me, but I'll let him tell that. But we didn't make that decision, because that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself when you're in your 20s. So it's happened over time. It has taken, I guess we could say, definitely some tears, probably more on my part than yours, out of embarrassment mostly. A lot of talking, a lot of repetition. JP will tell me something, I need this from you, and I don't deliver. And he'll say it again, I need this from you. I don't deliver. Hey, look, hello, I said I need this from you. So it takes a lot to get to the point where you're suddenly at a long time, because for us, it's 16 years. It sounds like a lot and it's a lot on paper, but it doesn't feel that way, because we have come to a very soft spot in our relationship where we have come to know each other at a deeper level. And we know that this is something that can be sustained because we're at what they would call it the companionship level, I would imagine. And so it's more about us being friends and taking care of one another than it is about, I want to rip your clothes off, right? Mm-hmm. So to stay in love, I'll just kind of sum up in a sentence. To stay in love for a long time, it takes a deliberate choice on both parties to sit down and say, this is something that we both want, and you actually have to work at it every day. So.
Okay.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, so give me a summary of the question again, because
absolutely
that was a lot.
I know, and I was rolling, and you guys, we do these on we don't have anything necessarily written down. So, our question: how do two people stay in love for a long time?
Can't really speak on two people because at the end of the day, a relationship is it's, I would say, kind of, it would come down to two solo individuals coming up with a common goal. So I can't speak on necessarily what would work for you. For me, it came down to a conscious effort to try something different. To kind of put it in perspective, it's kind of came down to where I'm at. I'm at the point in my life where I want to kind of be the change that I want to see the effect of. Because growing up, I really didn't see too many healthy relationships. So you'd see people together, and you'd get that apparent. You kind of get the appearance from afar that they may be happy, but they're not particularly happy. Mm-hmm. Case an example is my mother and father. They were together for a multitude of years, and I can't speak on their story, but it may not have been the best situation. Mm-hmm. And just seeing other relationships that were kind of just we're together just for the sake of being together. So for me, I kind of wanted to be that change. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of an ongoing thing with me. Just going forward every day. I've made a conscious decision since the moment that I met Mia, just to try to put forth the best effort that I can as far as trying to do the right thing, always be in constant communication, see my faults because I'm not perfect, and try to be aware of my surroundings of this relationship and what could potentially make it work. That's kind of how I've lived my life. That mm-hmm. I want to try to be something different, because who knows who's watching us. And again, and like I said, it's a lot of trial and error, but the basis of it is being aware and wanting to put that effort forward towards a relationship. And again, like I said, the genesis of that for me again is just growing up and not seeing healthy relationships and just trying to change the narrative of that going forward. So again, it's just a matter of the person putting in the work towards that.
Mm-hmm. And it is work. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
It makes awesome sense. And in our perspectives are different. I grew up seeing what I always perceived as a happy relationship, whereas Johnny didn't necessarily have that experience. But we're both have found one another and have come together to, like JP said, make something different and make something work that, we know that we may or may not have seen. And, try not to have a social media relationship, because that's a new phenomenon that people are in relationships on social media and they get off the phone and are totally different, right? So
yeah, so you've seen that side and how it ends, and I'm just a firm believer that there is a other alternative which can ultimately lead to happiness. And like I said, it just comes down to putting forth that work.
And then too, adding on to that, putting in that work and having common goals, right? I've seen a lot of stories, sadly, that people get all the way into marriage and find out that their partners are not for a certain thing, right? Their partners don't want kids. Their partners are have a whole nother family on the side, right? And those are stories, they're heartbreaking. But you have to know the person before you jump into anything long term, and not just even marriage, but just moving in with someone is a big thing. Staying exclusive with somebody is a big thing. So you guys have to identify and work towards a common goal, just like you would at work, at your jobs, like you would if you're doing some type of creative endeavor. You gotta have some goals and work towards those. We have several that we work towards, some very kind of vague. Happiness is a very vague concept, but for us, it's all about our peace and protecting it, protecting our babies, staying focused on what we need to do as a family, trying to build our money, that kind of thing. And then some are very, very specific, like getting JP transitioned into his new career, So for me, 3 years ago, it was mine, and now it's his turn, getting JP accustomed to getting back in school. So those are some very specific things. So you got to kind of, put what matters to the both of you at the forefront, and you have to use that to propel you forward. Because if you forget that I'm doing this because I love my partner, or I'm doing this because this is going to make him or her happy, then your relationship is gonna suffer. It's gonna implode. So, and again, you guys, this thing is not easy. They say love is not easy. It's not. But you feel it, you know it. We have intuition, we have our spidey sense. You know when something's off, you know when something feels good. So follow what's feeding your soul. If that person is feeding your soul, that is precious. So it's worth working on.
Yeah, and I would say the opposite. I believe love is easier. You just have to strip away the ego.
Ooh.
You have to strip away the ego of yourself, and like I said, the easiest thing I've honestly done is loving you. Stop it.
Oh, you said a mouthful there. That's a little bit, but a lot of it. The ego would get you in trouble all the time. Managing 100 people and all their personal problems and stuff. That's hard. Love it. Choosing to love one person for who they are, and being their biggest cheerleader and wanting them to succeed. That's easy. I could do that. I'd do that in my sleep. Yeah, and I'm that lady. Yay. Yeah. So there you have it, you guys. Let's see. Do I have any follow-up questions? We're just having a casual conversation here. I'm thinking of maybe some. I always get advice because people, they see us and we don't look our ages, right? So we're often asked, well, how do you do it? How do you, at the time it was, how do you work with your husband and you see him every day and y'all go home and y'all ain't divorcing? And I'm like, well, we like each other, so we don't want to divorce, or we're not even thinking about, separating at all, because I can't exist without my husband. Like I love having his aura around. So if I had to provide a piece of advice, for people who are maybe in a new relationship, looking to make it last, right? Because we're all here to just have long-lasting, productive relationships. I would say probably pay attention to your partner. And that's so much easier said than done. My God, here in our lives, we have careers, of course. We have hobbies. JP's getting ready to go back to school. We have babies. We have we have 2 kids. And we'll talk about our kids potentially on the next episode, you guys. But life, everything. We have, in-laws, family. JP has in-laws, it's a whole lot. And so he often can fall through the cracks because I haven't made that conscious decision at that point in time on that day to push him forward. If he's not on that front burner on the stove, my husband can fall behind the stove. So I have to say, hey, did I text my husband today? Did I call him? Did I tell him I loved him? Did I kiss him today? Because if you don't do those little things and you're not paying attention, then your relationship, it becomes like a dying flower, like essentially, or a plant, right? And a plant kind of dies from within, the roots start to die. The water is not going to help. It's just going to fall out. Mm-hmm. So pay attention and try to be intentional with your partner. Be intentional. We have school starting, going to come back up in a couple weeks, and I'm a teacher. So for me, I already know that I'm in danger of losing my husband. And of course, because of the time I'm having with him now, I'm not going to have that same amount of time. So I am preparing in my brain for ways through which I can be with my husband, especially on the weekends, but also in the evenings, so that I can continue to be intentional with how I am loving him. So those sorts of things are things you got to do. And, if you're with the person you're supposed to be with, like JP said, it's not necessarily hard. You got to put that ego aside and do what needs to be done for that person, because you're feeding them as well. So intentionality and paying attention, mm-hmm. That's a major thing. Mm-hmm. So what about you in terms of advice for someone?
Love yourself.
Mm.
You have to you have to discover yourself, get a feel for yourself, have a huge perspective of you, because no matter what you do, if you don't love yourself, there's no way possible that you can love anybody else or anything. You can have tastes and feelings of it, but you can't completely love someone if you do not love yourself. So that's the biggest thing. Everything starts with self-love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ditto, man. I second that emotion. That's a good one.
I can make sense from time to time.
Yeah,
I think so.
You make a lot of sense, and it's that's the hardest part, because a lot of people jump into relationships mm-hmm. with no sense of themselves, and then they're wondering why do they treat me that way.
They'd rather just be with somebody mm-hmm. than be alone. But mm-hmm. sometimes you probably need to take that time.
Yeah.
To try to figure out you.
Yeah.
And then go mm-hmm. from there. But
mm-hmm.
if you don't love yourself, then you just
spinning your wheels,
wasting time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, I think we can probably end on that note. That's a high note to end on. We went up a mountain today.
City boys, we up.
Yeah. Who are we talking to right now? So, oh man, so there you have it, guys. If we potentially do a second part to this, we might look at some feedback. All of our YouTube listeners, definitely give us feedback in the comments, because we do read things. We probably won't eventually, because they say don't read the comments, But we do read and we keep up with you guys. And, we now have an email address through which you guys can contact us, guys and gals. paidinfullpod@gmail.com is our email address. So we would love to have feedback and your ideas on what works for you and your relationships, whether they're real fresh and sparkly or they're just kind of calm like the ocean, right? Contact us. Let us know what you're thinking. Be nice. And we'll contact you and have a conversation going. So we got to hold each other up, uplift, because this world is a little rough. So yeah, paidinfullpod@gmail.com again is our email address. So contact us. So yeah, we're gonna end the pod.
Yeah, that's fine. Also, yes, I am going to school again. I was trying to keep that on the low, but Mia has broadcasted it like 3 times and twice on this podcast. So yes, I am going to be taking school classes.
I'm sorry.
Education is key. Thank you, Kim. It's okay.
I'm sorry. You guys, I'm excited because my husband is such a brilliant person. So I know he's going to go out and be, running the class pretty soon. So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry to my hubby. I guess I can't hold it in because my excitement is just up above my head. So my mouth is running.
So I was trying to be low key and it just like pop out on you.
Oh my God.
No, she got it out there. So
well, he just started in just a couple classes and get rolling.
All right.
Slow.
All right.
So.
It's all good. It's okay.
Let me see. I'm sorry, husband. Okay, so let me give our quote.
Yeah, because you behind too.
What do you mean behind?
I did the first 2.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay,
Sure.
well, let me see. Okay, just be there for me, and I'm gonna make sure we be living in the effing lap of luxury. I'm realizing that you didn't have to mess with me, but you did. Now I'm going on all out, kid, and I got mad love to give. Y'all know the song.
Good night.
Bye, you guys. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We'll see you guys next time on episode 4. We'll be putting out a little snippet of that next week. But until then, love one another, hold one another, take care of each other. And we'll see you guys soon.
Peace.
Previously on the podcast.
You all right, brother?
No.
Oh.
Well,
Having some difficulties in the closet.
you might need a studio, yeah.
I would love to.
Show jeans and corsets and shit.
I need some corsets. Tuck all this in. Can't find my quote. Man. Here, you can scooch over. You can get closer to me. You might have to do the quote for today. I can't find my quote.
I'll find some rap lyrics.